Hey everybody, it's Jessica. Welcome back to another episode of Career Coaching with Jessness. I hope you're well. This episode is for you if you are curious on how to use chat/AI to become a better employee. And I'm going to give you real examples that I use at work, use consistently, and have used for specific projects. And I'm going to show you just how messy you can be and still get something out of it. There's so much focus on having the perfect prompt, and you don't have to be. You know, the AI will figure it out, and you can always refine the results if you don't get what you want. So don't let knowing the perfect prompt or downloading this or that, a list of 10 prompts you have to use for this, or, like we can just get so caught up with, then you've got a bunch of prompts that aren't personal to you, that aren't really getting at the core of what you want to figure out. And in essence, you're just wasting more time than just getting out there and doing the damn thing. So let's go over some of these. I think this is going to be a series because I know that I use ChatGPT a lot, both in my personal and my professional, given, you got to be careful with the privacy and all of that stuff, but you've got common sense to not put, you can't put employee data in there, okay? So just be smart about it. I'm not going to disclaimer that. So you know what's best, but I want to give you some examples from my own life. And yeah, so I think this might be a series. I'm going to share 3 with you today, and I've got another episode that will go over another 3, and we'll just see how it goes. See, if the ideas keep flowing here, because here's the thing, AI is not going away, and you're probably sick of hearing about it. But guess what? If you're not using it, it is what it is. It's not going away. So you want to at least ask yourself, how might I use this? And what do I want to do? And maybe you've got some fear around it too. Maybe you've heard, my job's going to be taken over by AI, or, this industry will get wiped out or whatever. And I heard the other day, one of my favorite quotes about AI from my buddy Jordan at work, who essentially, he heard it from the former CEO of IBM. His name's, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but Jeannie Rometty. But, hey, given credit where credit's due, I guess. But I really liked this quote because it's so practical, it's so real, and it really puts the ownership on us in terms of embracing change. Because essentially, AI is a piece of change. It's going to change the direction of how we get work done. But the quote was so practical about, and also kind of help to mitigate some of the fear that might be bubbling up around it. So the quote was, AI won't take your job, but someone who uses AI will take your job. And I love that because I feel that it has made me a more productive, more strategic, more prepared employee overall because of the ways I'm using it. And I guarantee I have saved money and time and resources for the company by utilizing AI. So if you put my productivity against someone who's not using it at all, I guarantee, I would bet money that I am more productive and creating more value for the company just by the way in which I'm getting my work done now. So that's that. And that's not me like, I'm better than people. It's just, hey, I've got this whole resource in front of me. I'm just using it. I'm adopting it and seeing how I can try it on. So it's probably been, months and months now since I've been trying out different ways to use it. Some ways I'm like, it hasn't really helped. Whatever. I don't see a big uptick from the productivity or increased value that I'm giving, that I'm producing. So I throw that out the window. But part of the fun is just, how can I use it? How can I try this on? And if it works, I'm adding it to the list of this series. So let's get into the 3 examples of how ChatGPT has made me a better employee at work. So the first one is, I should probably give you a little bit of context to what I do. So In my day job, I work in corporate. I'm a corporate career coach and leadership facilitation trainer. I work one-on-one career coaching with doing a lot of one-on-one one-on-one career coaching with people on a variety of topics. And then I also do a lot of public speaking and do for our leadership development programs. And I also do all the program management for those programs. So it's strategy, it's tactical. I'm up in front of a group, and so it's all a mixture of that. In my off time, I am a writer and author, and also do career coaching on the side, facilitate workshops for either one of my books. I also host what I call book club campfires, which are, smaller group-based book clubs where we can talk about topics in the book. And I also do public speaking and one-on-one career coaching. So that is my world. There's a lot of crossover, and that's by design because I love what I do. Okay, so the first thing that I did, and I'm going to give you my real prompts, okay, my actual prompts, and they're, like I said in the beginning, they're not perfect, but they don't have to be. They really don't have to be. You can always refine and give chat more context to help the output and get what you need to become better. So one of the big things that I'm just working on at this time of year, we're in Q4 now, I can't believe it, is, this time of year is kind of closing, half of it's closing up this year, finishing strong. And then the other half of it is, okay, what the heck are we going to do next year? And so creating a strategy for what next year looks like when it comes to my programs. So a big part of that is looking at how have we measured success this year with my programs? And then how do I want to make that better, make that stickier? Create more metrics that speak to business issues that are happening right now at my company so that I can make sure that next year we still have a very strong success measurement plan. And I am always looking for what else might we be able to measure, and what of right now that we're measuring is no longer helpful. So I'm in this strategy vortex, right? And really looking at, all right, taking a look back at how the year went, but then also taking a look forward on, what's the vision? Where are we going? What's the North Star? And how can I justify the value of what we're doing? So what I asked for in chat, we're on first name basis. I asked in chat, if training is successful, how would we measure it? Use these 3 buckets. And I gave it some context, intent to stay, hours, dollars saved for the company, and productivity. So I just wanted to see, okay, giving it a really broad prompt like that, what would it come back with? And it did. It came back with a bunch of stuff. And specifically within intent to stay, hours, dollars saved. And productivity, intent to stay is probably the most focused one that I have on that. But hours, dollars saved, it gave me a whole list of different things, right? It gave me hours, dollars saved on ramping people up. It gave insight into how the company saves money around, having specific leadership skills and promotion criteria and all sorts of stuff. And so that gave me a starting point. So I could start to then sift through that and say, okay, what of these things are even measurable now? As in, we have the capability to measure it within what's at the company, whether it be, we have a software tracking productivity, or we have some kind of HR internal system that tracks, how long people have been here. Maybe it's, do we have a survey that we ask employees on different types of their engagement? And so part of it is then verifying of all of the things that I got, how many of these things are actually viable. But anyway, I'm getting in the weeds too much because if you're not in learning and development, I guess some of these things might be ways to measure success across other areas in the business too. You don't have to just be a program manager of a learning and development training. But so anyway, that's cool. The next thing that I asked it within this is, okay, turn that into a phrase. So intent to stay, hours, dollars saved, productivity. Within that list of ideas, I wanted to conceptualize it a little bit more and really make it not so metric-y, because some of these can be like, 4% of productivity is increased by XYZ, right? It looks a bit like a math equation. So I wanted just to bring it into, okay, what are some just like layman's terms? How might this look or sound? And so I gave it a phrase and say, finish this sentence for each of the metrics above. People who complete my program are more likely to blank. And then it gave me some really just plain old English. And that was a great way for me to also then take that and think what might be applicable here for what we've done, what we haven't done. And I was able to build in some of these new ideas in my strategy proposal and present them to our leadership. So that is one example of how AI made me a better employee that day. Okay. And it saved me a lot of time and energy. And I was able to come up with a lot of new considerations that were very thought-provoking, and it made for a very fruitful conversation with our leadership. So I felt great about that one. This episode is brought to you by my Brain Dates, one-on-one conversations where we figure out your next move together on a variety of topics. You can learn more on my website, justnessrequired.com, under the Work With Me tab. Okay, the next one is, I'm sure you're using this now, but I use this a lot to just polish up emails. And the prompt is very simple. It's like, hey, keep a friendly tone and be professional. Keep all of my words as they are, but polish this up. Okay, and so it does a good way of, oftentimes what I'm looking for is there a shorter way to say this? Because I tend to be a little bit more wordy in responses, and I think that comes from me wanting to be understood. So I make sure to sometimes over-explain, and some of that can be taken out. So that's a great way to do it. I want to caveat here too. One of the things that it's been able to help me in is saying no. I know, oh my God, saying no. And it's going to be a lifelong lesson for me, but there's going to be times at work where I need to say no. And it's not me just like, no, that's not my job, because that's a huge pet peeve of mine. If you say that, you are limiting yourself. Okay. So I'll just caveat that, but we can parking lot that for another episode. But if you're having a hard time saying no, and reasons to say no could be like, there are competing priorities. You have zero resources. Those are probably the top two things. But if you have a hard time saying no, it's a great way to use chat to help polish up how you say no to someone. You will be amazed at the professional and kind ways there are to say no. Trust me. So one of the ways that I use it is I just brain dump in there and say, here's what I want to say, and here's why I need to say no. And then I just ask chat, justify this in a fair and professional way. And then the key with any of this polishing of emails prompts is you've got to make it your own, because it is so obvious. It is so obvious when you do not. So you have to keep yourself in the process, right? Don't just delegate entirely your email writing to chat, because people will know, and it's weird and awkward. Especially if it's some kind of appreciation or meant to be a personal note. That is when I'm just like, ugh, cringe. But anyway, overall, polishing emails, whether you have to say no or not, whatever. The key to add into this prompt is, what kind of tone do you want it to be? What do you want it to change specifically? Maybe you don't want it to change anything but check the grammar. Put that in the prompt. check this email for grammar only. Leave all of the same words. I like using my two probably most go-to for like polishing emails are keep a friendly or make this more friendly, because sometimes it can sound, sometimes I'll just be like, okay, I've got 1,000 emails to get through. I'm just gonna, and these of course are non-sensitive emails. Okay. These are not, company specific information by any means, but it's like, hey, so-and-so, I've checked your status on your 360 feedback and here's whatever. It's something just basic and generic, no names, no employee information or company information at all. But typically I'll say like, keep a friendly tone and make this professional. And that combination works really well for me. All right, the third and final example I'm going to give you for today is, so one of the things that I came up against recently was everything in my career day job was hitting at once. It's like all the to-do items are just like, blah, like happening all at once. And so I needed a way to professionally say to my boss, without being emotional, and we can get into that in another episode, just the importance of sometimes, really it's a strategy move, but keeping the emotion out of a request or an update to your boss can really go the distance. And I don't know if that's of interest to you. If it is, let me know. Contact me and say, hey, that emotion thing, I want to hear more about that. And then I can write up an episode for that. But I have found success in how do I ask for something without emotion, being professional and strategic, and having my ask that usually is a personal ask, and there is an emotion behind why I need something changed. So like in this specific example, all the due dates were hitting at once, and I was completely overwhelmed, and it was becoming just rightfully just, I was beyond my capacity. The hours in the day, there weren't enough to get everything done. And so I wanted to utilize chat to help build out a capacity model to help showcase my work. So rather than going into my one-on-one and saying to my boss, I'm completely overwhelmed, I have way too much to do, it can't all get done. I think, while that is all true, that to me, this is my own personal, perspective, but to me, that may come across, or the message that lands with my boss is, and there's some self-judgment in here, I know. So I'm just going to call that out, but it could sound like she can't handle what she's doing. I can't trust her with more work. And she's, not smart enough to do her work. Would that be what my boss is thinking? No, I don't think so. However, I just wanted to find a way to say those things and showcase my work in a very just objective way, cut and dry. Here are the facts, right? Rather than I'm overwhelmed, I can't do it, I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm outside of my comfort zone with a lot of these things. At the end of the day, what I really want to do is I want to make sure I have enough time to get all the stuff done, period. And if I don't have all the time, I need my boss to understand that, so we can either recalibrate what's on my plate, shift some of the focus, or prioritize the work. So that was my end goal. That's what I wanted to get from that conversation. But I first needed to showcase. And so what I did was, I'm just going to read it to you. This is how messy this prompt is. And I had chat basically time out all the examples all of the tasks and activities and projects that I was doing. And I went back and forth a little bit with this to make sure it was fine-tuned, but I had it calculate out, okay, what are all the hours in a month? And then I also had it calculate the weekly hours. And I found that I was over capacity by 29 hours in the month. So my overwhelm, my feelings were instantly validated. I was like, okay, no wonder I feel this way, because I literally don't have enough time, and I can see it on the screen. So it So that's that. Okay, let me read you the prompt, then I'll tell you how it went. Calculate my capacity if I have 15 360s that take 2 hours each, plus administration time of at least 1 hour every other day a work week. For my ELC project, I have at least 3 hours for 3 days a week for the next month and 1 hour meeting. And 1 hour weekly meeting and a half an hour meeting every other week. Calculate in 4 trainings at 2 hours plus a train the trainer that is also 2 hours. Add in a 5-hour clinical affairs training. Calculate in situational leadership training that is 8 hours and calculate that is 8 hours. And calculate in 4 trainings at 2 hours plus a train the trainer that is 2 hours. And I wrote that twice. See, this is how messy it is. Who cares? And blah, blah, blah. And calculate in 4 trainings at 2 hours plus a train the trainer. So that's where I repeated accidentally. I'm doing calculate in a situational leadership training that is 8 hours and a support role for colleagues training that is 8 hours. Equal all of these hours so I can tell my manager at what capacity I'm operating for the current work on my plate right now. All right, so then I get a response, and I did need to refine a bit so you can see. I mean, I just copied and pasted this from ChatGPT so you could see just how messy it can be. And then we went back and forth a little bit. Okay, so I accidentally listed a couple of the things twice. We removed those. I made sure to refine some things. What I did add in as well is like time for unexpected meetings or ad hoc requests, and email, kind of the administrative side of things. And I was able to go through each line by line and really verify, okay, there is truth in this. These are the right hours for each task. And I was just amazed at the end of it, seeing I was over capacity by 29 hours a month. And so had the meeting with my boss, showcased to them, here's where I'm at. And it was so productive. It was so great. I left that meeting going, okay, this is cool. He is aware of what I have on my plate. He gave me some support. He asked how I can help. And I straight up told him what I needed. And we were able to make some changes and really make sure that, okay, these next 3 months, we are going to be able to hit our goals and targets, because it's really important for me. I don't want to get to the end of the year and fill out my evaluation form having felt overwhelmed and not asked or at least showcased the work, right? It'd be another conversation if my boss was like, tough shit, get it done. But he didn't, right? We worked together. And part of it is just bringing up the truth of where I'm at and what I need. If you don't say it, they don't know it. So it was a great way to just plain and simple, black and white, list out every little thing. It verified how I was feeling, which was great, because oftentimes I think if we're overwhelmed and we don't take a step back out of the work, it can just start to feel like, God, maybe I'm just not a good fit for this. Well, no, I am a good fit. It's just the fact that all of the work on the plate is hitting at once. And so needed to make some I was going to say refreshments. I think I'm hungry, but needed to make some changes for that, some alterations so that it can be more possible. So that is that. Those are the 3 examples I wanted to share with you today. I hope this is helpful. I'm curious how you're using chat to become a better employee. Go ahead, reach out to me. My contact stuff is in the description. Easiest way is probably to reach me on Instagram at HelloJessness, and let me know what prompts or what things that you're using. And this was fun. I think we'll use this as a series, and on another episode, I'll share a couple more, and we'll keep exploring this AI world together so that we can utilize this tool, be more productive, create more value at faster speeds, and also hopefully take some of the mental strain off that, and have a tool that can help us maximize our value. So that is that. Okay. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on another episode. This episode is brought to you by my Brain Dates, one-on-one conversations where we figure out your next move together on a variety of topics. You can learn more on my website, jessnessrequired.com, under the Work With Me tab.